Welcome to the Shadow Council. This is episode 5, big number 5, and we've got a big week in ABR this past week.
Hell yeah.
Tell them about it, Andrew.
Last week, we have a very definitive winner with Bow Knight and Bow Problems. They rocketed to first place with an impressive 8 wins over the Quixelheads. Let's put them at 27 points.
Which is huge.
That's really good.
Which is a huge lead.
How big is it?
It's 6 points over the next team. 6 points over the second place team, and what, like a solid 9-10 points since away from the middle of the pack. So they're up there.
They're up there.
They're making a run
6
for
points.
victory right now.
Yeah, I mean 6 points is what you'd earn if you just split down the middle, right? If you win 5 games but lose the feature match, you get 5 points. So you have to actually win a week if you want to even attempt to try and make up the points that they're ahead.
The second place team has to win a week.
Yes.
Everybody else has to win a few more.
That's true. This is also a big week in that the reigning champions, Z-Force Agents, finally lost the week. I think this is the first in 7 weeks that they lost, if you count last season.
Dang!
So, good job to Hobo's Revenge for that one.
Well played, Hobos. But yeah, so what was kind of the meta from last week? What was the most influential cards in Adaptive?
Well, let's define influential as winningest cards, because that's a lot more
winningest?
fun. Winningest. Yeah. These following cards had 100% win rate. Hysteria. That's the only one that makes sense. Prepare for some weird cards that you may have forgotten about. Cauldron Boil, Calipagian Ideal, Deepwood Druid, and Visima Think Drone.
I mean, I like Calipagian Ideal. I mean, I always like to see that. That's a great upgrade for Saurians.
I'm happy to see that card most of the time. It's not a card I'm like, wow, this Capillion Ideal's in my deck. I'm certainly going to do well this time.
Can't wait to win. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Very true.
The other 3 cards, Cauldron Boil, Deepwood Druid, and Think Drone, I'm like, oh, why the hell is this garbage in my deck? But
Think Drone's not the worst Mars card you could have.
Exactly. I mean, all these cards have a way of rewarding you for, like, thinking outside the box, I think, is maybe, like, Cauldron Boil doubles damage already on creatures, so, like, maybe you're a little bit less likely to try and kill off creatures. You can just, like, spread out, like, you don't need your, like, Twin Bolt to kill creatures. You can set up a Cauldron Boil for a future turn.
That's true.
Something like that.
I guess so.
Think Drone is...
I don't know, it is hard to say, like, oh yeah, people picked these cards.
No, I mean, I'm not saying they picked these decks for these cards. I'm just saying that over the course of practicing with your deck, you can learn how to play these cards better, or know if your deck can take advantage of them.
That's true. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Maybe that's what happened, is that these are niche cards that really find their home in Adaptive decks. Clearly.
Right.
The most common cards we saw this week are much more familiar cards. Cards we all love to see. We saw the most common card was Infernus. 29 decks were rocking in at least one Infernus. Followed closely by Daughter and then Wild Wormhole. So always happy to see. I personally like Wild Wormhole. I like to throw just a little bit of chance in my deck.
Mm-hmm. It feels like a good adaptive card. It's like, that's a card that will really punish you for not knowing what's in the deck.
That's true, yeah. Especially, if you're, towards right before you start cycling your deck and stuff. If you're like, oh, I haven't hit my gateway yet, maybe I don't play Wild Wormhole. Mm-hmm. And obviously, Infernus is fantastic. I say that now. Originally, I was like, this card's okay. But then I played Sealed with 3 of them, and I was like, this card is amazing. So Infernus now makes my top cut as well. So we have another special treat for you this week. It's the official Streamer Showdown. down. So last week in ABR, we saw the battle between two big-name streamers in the Keyforge community, RunHeSaid and FoolishBigJ. It was quite the match, and definitely one of the most interesting chain bids I've seen in a long time. So make sure to go check that out. We do some pretty good commentary on it. But yeah, quite the match, and it was a whole lot of fun watching it. But that wraps up last week. What do we have in store for this week?
This is going to be a fun week. I mean, not as much fun as Adaptive Week, but we get to play Jank this week. So, at the beginning of the season, we were told Jank was going to happen. And there were 3 different potential options. There was creature, you had to have a deck with more than 25 creatures. You had to have a deck with less than 15 creatures, I think. It might be 13. I don't know. Somewhere low like that. Or it could have been have to have Amber Control under 3. This week, it turns out they chose decks with 25 or more creatures.
25 creatures.
So
25.
25. Hell yeah.
I don't know.
I'm excited about this.
Excited for Jank Week. I mean, this sounds exciting.
Yeah.
You just get boards
This is
on top of boards, on top of more boards. We're going to like crash TCO. It's going to have to load way too much card art.
Yep. You seen you might like playing Magic the Gathering because you get to play a lot of tokens. Well, you know what? We're going to play just a lot of regular creatures this time around. We're going to be the ones with the bigger boards.
It'll be good. I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
But what?
Yeah, get ready to scroll horizontally on TCO.
That's true. I don't like that part. Well, so we have the deck list for this week.
We do.
The rundown of it. And with no surprise, Saurian comes in the lead with 51 decks rocking Saurian. Coming in our heavy-hitting champions with boards and boards of dinosaurs.
Yeah, they're big. They have wards to prevent against the removal. That's going to be important. They have good reap effects with Lophosaurus and like Red or Gallum or, I don't know,
right,
some other stuff.
And they have a lot of staying power. Like Saurians and Brobnar and I guess Sanctum. Those are the 3 houses that I think of when I'm like, I need big bodies on the board.
Exactly.
Ready to stay there and punch people in the head.
They have also plenty of taunt to protect the other houses.
Brobnar comes in almost last. Only 14 decks have Brobnar in it.
This guy's got one of them.
That guy.
But yeah, that guy. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's Worlds Collide Brobnar, which people are trying to avoid, and especially if there's so people like, I want the Saurian. You can't get good Saurian and good Brobnar. It's probably a lot of that. True.
And I was actually thinking of Star Alliance, to be honest, because again, Saurians are big dinosaurs ready to bite you. But Star Alliance is like the board you want to have. Like, I want 10 Star Alliance cards on the board and playing that board over and over and over again. Actually, a Volcano might be pretty darn good. I'm assuming, they're all going to be big boys. But then looking at this, Dis is actually the number 2, which has a lot of removal, but most of their creatures are pretty small. Same thing with Untamed. They're also fairly small. So I'm just thinking like a Volcano. Volcano could really do some damage.
Yeah.
Boom.
Almost. I'm not necessarily surprised, but it is surprising to see Shadows being so far down this list, being the third least popular.
Yeah.
Or what?
You'd think there'd be some crazy like quadruple Urchin Fagin deck or something like that out there with that bumps up the creature count just enough. Although another surprising one I thought was Mars. Mars is down in dead last. Only 4 decks this week will be rocking Mars.
I mean, if you can't play Bartian Generosity and Key Abduction, why even bother playing Mars? I don't know.
That seems to be the consensus. But again, though, when I think of boards I want to play, Mars is definitely on top there.
They do have like the best reap abilities in the game, probably. Just behind like Witch of the Eye, I guess.
Yeah.
Or Tesmal? Something like that. But yeah. But yeah, you got your like Zookeeper would probably be huge
Oh
in
yeah,
this
just
in this
or
meta.
collector worm. They just eat people. Just
Yeah,
meow, 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 meow.
exactly.
But yeah, it should be. I mean, I'm still really excited about it. I almost
Oh,
dragged out a Khaleesi Dragon deck because I was like, it's time for big boards. Then I was like, no, this is still a bad card. Khaleesi
all right.
Dragon's not a good card.
Real quickly, the most popular cards are going to be creatures. We've got Perfectus Ludo and Infernus, and somewhere in the middle we've got Theros Centurion.
Hero.
Only highlighting the Centurion here specifically because Dave is bringing his 5 Theros Centurion deck,
Oh my
which is
goodness,
making up, yeah.
that's a bunch. I mean, I think
Oh,
this card's gonna be great this week. I
mhm.
mean,
Oh yeah.
it's gonna be crazy. But that's a lot.
That is a lot. Be prepared to fight 6 power, 1 armor things.
Right. Get ready to have all of your amber captured one at a time. You said he had
Yep.
5 of them in
Thankfully,
there? Five
he has 5 of
copies?
them in his deck.
5 copies of
Hmm.
Theros Centurion.
Yeah, if you're also all these Theros Centurions are probably going to come with a Perfectus Ludo because there are 4 more Ludos than there are Centurions out there.
I was gonna say, yeah, well there's 51 Saurian decks and 46 Perfectus Ludos. I mean, sure, you could have multiples,
Yes.
but I would expect almost
Mhm.
every Saurian deck to have one. Though oddly enough,
But
the most popular non-creature cards, I guess to no surprise, Axiom of Grisk, um, great removal.
is it
Tribute,
though?
although Axiom of Grisk is really going to miss a lot of targets against Saurian.
Yeah, when half the field is Saurian, it's going to actually look pretty sad,
You'll be like,
probably.
I got one, I got that guy.
It might be Gain 2 Chains, give a creature award.
Give a creature award. Oh.
I've certainly done that sometimes,
Right, right. Although
but
the
yeah.
following that is Tribute, which again, not
Hmm.
surprising with all the worlds collides. But I think Tribute's going to be a huge um, amber control
Oh
this
yeah.
week. I think that's really gonna change things up. I whenever I see a Tribute in a deck, I always look for like the best possible combo.
Right. I mean, there's a Ludo. Every deck with a tribute probably has a Ludo,
I would hope so. Yes, yes.
right?
There's 16
So,
tributes and 46 Ludos. Yes, every tribute deck has a Ludo. I'm saying it now. I don't
so
even need. I don't
be
even need the
be
stats.
wary of big creatures that are already damaged because you could go tribute onto my big creature, play Ludo, fight with my big creature, die. You just lost 4 amber.
Ooh,
So yeah, that's what you have to look forward this week in your matches. There's one particular matchup we think is going to be very exciting, and that is Hobo's Revenge versus the Dusk Runners.
ooh. Yeah.
Oh
So
boy,
they're what? Hobo's Revenge is
is it
currently sitting
second
in
place?
second place, but
Yeah,
Dusk Runners has dropped a little bit, but they were the first place team week one. So they're both
right.
very strong contenders, and they're both very hungry for a win. You know, Hobos needs a win to stay in second place, especially with Bo Nithing's colossal lead. And I'm sure
Yeah,
Dusk
seriously.
Runners want to be a little bit further up the pack. So
I mean, yeah, this win for them could move them into second place.
true. Yeah, the middle of the pack is very close, and so yeah, an upset here, especially an upset against Hobo's Revenge, the second
The
place
second place
team.
team.
Yeah, could seriously flip the tides.
I mean, as much as we want to see these kind of upsets, it's going to be difficult for the Dusk Runners to overcome the 1,000 extra decks that Hobo's Revenge has at their disposal.
True,
Um,
especially for
yeah,
like
this
a jank
format,
week. I mean, how many decks
mhm,
are there with 25 creatures?
in my own collection, it was literally like 1%. I have 3 decks, and my collection is about 300
I
decks.
had one deck, one single deck in my collection.
Yeah. So, and that doesn't even, right? And that doesn't even mean it's a good deck.
Mine was not a good deck.
Exactly. So, I mean, going at that rate, that means Hobo's Revenge has, 10 extra decks to choose from?
Yeah.
So, there's probably at least one extra good deck that Hobo's Revenge have over the Dusk Runners.
Right. Well, you'd think so, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Although Dusk Runners
tough.
could be sitting on that gold. They only have Jank decks in their collection. And that's pretty much it for the Shadow Council this week. There's a few more Keyforge events out there in the world, not just the ABR League. So what else are you up to, Andrew? What are you still playing?
Well, I mean, you might call what I'm playing. You might call the KFPL something that I'm playing in, but I'm just kind of coasting along. I'm lucky to be there. But the KFPL is going strong. Week 2 just ended, and so we have seeds for... and we have some results from Week 2 that we like to talk about, and talking about this week's matchups. First up, some of the highlights from Season 2 is that we have a bunch of 2-0s, or actually, each group has their first place players determined, and all of them are 2-0s, except for one group. Not too important, but exciting news out of there is we've got Shaka, we just heard about, talk about their experience in the KFPL. Ugluck, Unarmed Goat, Jay Philippeg, Lorenzo99, Callum SLZ, and Alex Sheepville. You might recognize a few of these names because over half of them are participants in this season's ABR. So congratulations to all of you for basically leading the KFPL in your own teams probably, and also leading your groups in the ABR League. Yeah, and then there's a couple other players that aren't necessarily number one in the KFPL groups that they're in, but they are ABR League members, and we'd like to also shout them out. We've got Dave Cordero, Farisa, and Echoito. They are actually they're all 2-0s, but they just barely missed the top seed off of like some small tiebreaker stuff. Basically, they didn't win literally every single one of their triad games.
Still won all their matches, just not every single game. You gotta lose one every now and then. Keeps you humble.
You should definitely check out the feature match on Thursday at 10:15 Eastern Time, because it's going to be me versus SC Steely. It's going to be a lot of fun. I don't know what more to say about it.
I'm excited. I can't wait. It's a little late, a little past my bedtime, but I'll be there. I'll be ready. I'll be cheering you on virtually.
You get to watch me play. Do my best. I'll be there. I'm going to prove Jupiter and Z wrong. They both voted against me for this matchup. Here at the Shadow Council, we don't stand for that.
What great friends.
Well, SC Steely is also like a longtime friend of Archon's Quarter and Jupiter to begin with, so I might be the newer friend. But there's as cool as watching my matches, there's a couple other matches we think you should pay attention to.
There are a few more matches at the KFPL. One of them, the Unarmed Goat, defending his number one spot against another 2-0 player, J Power, and their Huft deck. So that will be a pretty good matchup. You always want to see the champions being taken on. And then another match is Lorenzo99 versus La Pior, or the pair. La Pior had a bye last week, and with a win this week, they can unseat the current leader. So that will be another big upset coming in the KFPL this week.
And there's one other bit of KFPL news, not necessarily related to the current season, but in future seasons. If you want to participate, you can earn your entry in now through winning points in their qualifiers versus just winning the qualifier itself. So every game you win in a qualifier, you'll earn a point or two. I don't know the numbers exactly. And then at the end of like the in-between seasons, or before the next season starts, the point leaders will be admitted into the league instead of just the tournament winners. Obviously, if you win the tournament, you get entry, you get a seat at the table. But also, this is going to reward the people who show up and the people who play, and those few unlucky people in the last season or two who have unfortunately like placed ninth every single time and never made the top cut.
You know what that means?
They definitely are. What's that mean?
I have a chance. I could be
you
in
have
the
a
Premier
chance.
League. I am that man. I am the man who goes, oh man, I got like 9th place. Maybe I'll do better next time. 10th place. Maybe I'll do better next 9th place.
Right. If Shoepuff can do it, you can do it.
That is words to live by.
Then in addition to that, we have the Gauntlet finally ended. This 2-week 4-deck survival tournament hosted by Archon's Corner. And what news do we have from there?
So yeah, that survival tournament just finished up, and the big top 4 are a few familiar names: Big Z, Thundrofect, Kiba, and Grant Titus. Grant Titus actually took home the crown as the winner of the Gauntlet, and you might know him as the creator of the Crucible Tracker, as well as a kit member. So he actually had a fantastic win. He came back with 5 straight wins in a row with their last final deck, which tied him for the most wins with a single deck. So survival tournament. So all of his decks got eliminated until the last 5 wins in a row. It's quite the accomplishment.
Yeah.
It turns out the average number of wins per deck increased as people started losing, which means people played their last deck or their best deck last.
It worked out for Grant.
It certainly worked out for Grant.
Also, one more interesting thing about Grant's deck, it was an AOA deck that won 5 times in a row.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That, goes to show you. AOA has power.
And so that's about all the tournaments that are ongoing that have concluded over the last week. But there are a couple big tournaments we think you should definitely sign up for, especially one this weekend. Go sign up for it. It's the big one.
The big one. Best part of it, we'll be there.
Hell yeah.
That's right. We're competing in it.
Play against us.
It's happening. I said it. We're doing it.
Yeah. We're doing it. For those of you who don't know, the big one is the 2-deck survival tournament. SAS cap of 80. It's a charity tournament.
It is.
So half of all the entry fees are going to be donated to Doctors Without Borders. And then the remaining percentage will go to first and second place. So yeah, there's that. Also, if you just want to donate, go check out Mortivas' stream. He's going to be doing like the main coast commentary thing of it. 100% of all donations made to Mortivas during that stream will go to Doctors Without Borders.
Oh, wow.
And in addition to that, Mortivas has offered to fund a couple people. If you want to participate but can't, he's willing to basically donate an extra $10 for you to play in the tournament, because he's just got a big kind heart like that. So make sure you told him the Shadow Council sent you, and he will definitely make sure to find room for you, because we might have a thing or two on him.
might have some information that he doesn't want to get out.
And if you want even more survival, there's 2 more survival tournaments coming up hosted by the KFPL. They're going to be on the same weekend. That'll be March 20th. And you'll have to choose between the 2 different formats. They are either absolutely no restrictions, whatever you feel like, just because they're like, you know what? KFPL has no restrictions. Why should our tournaments have restrictions?
What nice guys.
And then, I know, look at that. Thinking of people. And then other than that, if you're like me, like, wait, hold on, time out. I don't have 86 SAS decks that I want to play with.
Right? You're like, that sounds great. I do not have 2 99 SAS fire decks.
I'm going to bring my 75 SAS or lower decks that I really like playing with that are not allowed to have Mercy Generosity, Key Abduction, or Heart of the Forest in them. Those are 2 different tournaments you can enter for the KFPL Selective Survival Tournament on March 20th. Yeah, I think that about wraps up all the competitive Keyforge news for the week.
You've heard it here.
Thank you all so much for watching.
First. You heard it here.
Eventually. Go out there, forge, join the big one, donate, be a good member of society, and remember, the council is watching.
Council is always watching. I want to be known for something. I'm going to be known for Khaleesi Dragon collections.